Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our board meeting tonight. Officer Morocco, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Here.
Trustee Rocco?
Here.
Trustee Sheehan?
Here.
Trustee Caceres absent. Trustee Lautner?
Here.
Trustee Zora?
Here.
President DeCipio?
Here.
Quorum is present, sir.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is the swearing in of Fran Morocco to the office of Sergeant of Police. Chief?
Raise your right hand. I, Fran Morocco,
I, Fran Morocco,
hereby solemnly swear
hereby solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully carry out
and I will faithfully carry out
all duties
all duties
imposed and entrusted in me
imposed and entrusted in me
as Sergeant of Police
as Sergeant of Police
for the Village of LaGrange Park.
for the Village of LaGrange Park.
Sergeant's already been sworn in, so what I have to say is not going to get him out now. So Sergeant Morocco has been with us since January 16, 2006. He additionally completed his comprehensive exam in Illinois State Training and Standard Board and transition course from part-time status to full-time status. He has received over 200 hours in in-service training. 1 year he was promoted to detective, and that was 2007. He achieved Officer of the Year in 2009 through the LaGrange Park Brookfield Lions Club. He achieved the rank of Officer in Charge in 2012. He received a Certificate of Appreciation from Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists for the recognition of DUI enforcement in 2012. He was promoted to the rank of Sergeant on May 1st, 2017. We looked through his file and a couple comments from a couple individuals. From a resident. From the first responders, specifically to Officer Morocco, who made us feel safe after an unfortunate home invasion that occurred to me and my wife. He made us feel rest assured that all efforts will be taken to find those who committed the crime. He was correct, and accountability by arrest was completed, and we thank him and we are grateful for all the hard work that he has done to make us always feel safe and very proud to be residents of LaGrange Park. From the Office of Cook County State's Attorney, the superior police work in LaGrange Park by Officer Morocco, Star 316, was above and beyond. His immediate response to an aggravated battery charge was imperative. In addition to securing the scene, rendering the victim safe from further harm, and properly assessing the defendant. This is a model of good police work. And from an arrestee. This is not common, but he received a card of appreciation from a person he arrested, which read, "I am sorry for the way I acted last night. Thank you. Thank you for keeping me safe, and I really appreciate everything you do." That's quite a compliment, isn't it? Thank you, Dad. Okay, further, he is presently the Adopt-a-Cop officer and has been for many years at Forest Road School for first grade. He was a successful FOP steward for the past 3 years and maintained a very good working relationship with the village and the police administration. He serves on the Police Pension Board as an elected present member. It's been a privilege to work with this gentleman. He brings great pride to our community. Our residents love our police force, and with Chief in charge now and all the officers behind him, we are in great hands. So it's a privilege to work with Officer Morocco. And I know the board, on behalf of the board and our village, we are pleased and privileged to have him move up the ranks.
we'll leave the special thing that Tracy's gonna be pinning on Fran in a minute. What I wanted to speak about is a few things. One, as you see, Fran's year is big this year. He's becoming sergeant, which is a huge thing. And I'll go a little bit into what it took for him to get here. And then he's gonna have an add-on to his family. It seems to be something that's happened quite often in our police department, and, but he's got that on his way, so congrats to Tracy and him on that. I know Fran's family, I know his father, who's an ex-FBI agent for many years, has taught in certain college ranks throughout the time. So Fran, a little bit about it, when he came into play, I remember when I spoke with him, and he went through detectives, after he was done, I told him, and I challenged him, and I said, Fran, I said, where are you gonna go from here? Are you gonna go up, or are you just gonna become whatever you wanna do from here? It's up to you. And he went for the sergeant test, and unfortunately, the first time around, it didn't go as good. He was selected through a process, and so was another individual to still become an OIC. But the next phase came into play, and I pulled him into the office, and I said, remember that last feel you had? Remember that last time where it just didn't go the way you wanted it? I said, you have control. I said, do something about it. Become number one. Make it hard, so that it's you, and only you, that's gonna be selected first. Guess what Fran did? He became number one. And Fran has battled through things. There's a good showing of the department here, and there's a reason why. He's, through his OIC rank, at even times, was accounted for and accounted on at different parts, just equal to the sergeant rank at times, how much he was accounted for with his knowledge. He's added so much to our department, he'll add more now. You know, he also was said in here, I've got 2 other stewards that are a part of the team that did things this year without attorneys present. They did that because of the interaction we had. The things they did with the village, that Julia was able to do with us as village management, with the board support, those are things that you don't take lightly because it's not done that often. But he was one of them, and he was the spearhead of that. I tell you that because, as we have a call for service, I tell you that because in the instance of who Fran is, he is a class act. He deserves this star tonight. I couldn't be more proud as the chief of police to give it to him in front of all the people that are here. Everybody from my retirees that are here to the present staff we have, I am so, again, elated to say, on behalf of the police department, we're gonna count on him to be one of our leaders. I know he's gonna do a great job at it. He's already been doing that. Now he's gonna go to the next level. He's a midnight marauder, so you might not see much of him as much throughout the public, but you'll see him in other ways too. And I can't again say enough about what Fran Morocco has come to today to deserve this honor as Sergeant of Police, and it's so glad that I'm the one that gets to give that to him. So Fran, I appreciate everything. You deserve it, brother.
Firstly, I'd like to thank the board, President DeCipio, Julia, Emily, for working together throughout the union contract and bringing me up from my first day here. My coworkers, retirees, and current, thank you for the support you guys have given me. It's been a pleasure working with you guys. To my parents, Fran and Donna, thank you for being so supportive and understanding missing holidays, missing birthdays, missing family events. You know, you guys are my rock, and you have brought me to where I am today. To my in-laws and Grange Park residents, John and Janice Steger, thank you guys for being a part of this as well the last 5 years. And then also to my wife Tracy, thank you. When you're a police officer, they always say marriage is a tough thing. And, you know, you got to find a special person that understands the job. And it's been amazing during the last 5 years that I found Tracy. She understands the job, and she understands what it takes for me to sleep through the day and only see me a few times at night, or when I
where we are so honored and blessed. Thank you, Sergeant. Okay, next item in the agenda is swearing-in ceremony for paid-on-call firefighter. Brian Whitman began working at a very young age. No. Brian Whitman began working for our village on November 3rd, 2011 as a contract paramedic firefighter through PSSI. Last year, Brian purchased a home in our village and began employment as a regular paid-on-call probationary firefighter on October 12th, 2016. Brian originally lived in Stone Park, and in working on the contract here, he grew up to like the village so much he decided to purchase a home and move here. Although our contract employees can work various details and assignments outside of the contract and be employed directly with the village, they do not regularly respond back for calls from home and are not considered regular paid-on-call firefighters. Upon purchasing his home here, Brian also wanted to become a regular POC firefighter, and although he already was working on the contract here, he still had to complete a 6-month probationary period so he could be evaluated. He was already a certified firefighter and licensed paramedic, but was further evaluated in regards to being able to make the time and commitment and attend training and calls outside of his full-time employment on the contract. Brian recently successfully completed the probationary period, and again, it's our honor and privilege to have him here in our village. We recommend swearing in of Brian Whitman as paid-on-call firefighter for the Grange Park Fire Department. Chief? And Amanda. Can't forget you.
I'm going to go ahead and let Amanda first swear Brian in, and then I have a few words, and Brian would like to speak. He might have a few words. He always does.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Brian Whitman,
I, Brian Whitman,
hereby solemnly swear
hereby solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully carry out
and I will faithfully carry out
all duties
imposed
and entrusted in me
and entrusted in me
as firefighter, sorry,
as firefighter
for the village of the Grange Park.
for the village of the Grange Park.
Congratulations, Brian. For those who don't know, as you heard the village president's speech on Brian and background, Brian came here as a contract paramedic, so he worked full-time here since 2011, but he didn't live in our community. And although our contract paramedics are a very vital part of our organization, they don't have the ability to participate in as many things as true paid-on-call firefighters do, who are in town on a regular basis. For those not aware, to stay on our fire department as a paid-on-call or part-time firefighter, you still have to live within our community. And Brian, over time, grew to like the village, and I think I could say that, happened to find a good deal on a home, and decided to become further involved with our department. Also, when Brian was first here, he didn't come here as management, and I know I didn't put it in the memo that I provided to the village president, but over the last several years, Brian kind of grew in his position. Out of the 6 full-time personnel, 1 is in charge and called the paramedic coordinator or contract coordinator, and works between the contract service and our fire department. Over time, we talked about who would run it as personnel changed and who would serve in that role. And over time, through a lot of work and effort, Brian stepped up and took that position and was offered that position and took it. Making sure tasks get done on a daily basis by all the shifts, communicating policies and regulations, and pretty much keeping the EMS program along with some other people on task. So we greatly appreciate the effort Brian put forth and where he is today. Again, he currently serves as the coordinator or leader of that group for PSSI. Again, that doesn't take away from anything. Our paramedic personnel, even though we use PSSI, are one of us. They are our first responders. They provide advanced life support in the field. And in fact, Brian just came off a call, we switched some personnel to get him here because he could not get the day off. They've had a very busy day, and worked hard. I don't know, are you call 5 or 7 or something, 10? Oh, call 10 for the day. Some days are like that. They're not always that bad, but it's been pretty busy. So we appreciate Brian. We tried to work him back here. Sorry we couldn't work it out better where you could have relaxed the whole time, but you made it just in time. Next, what we'd like to do, again, as a tradition, is actually have someone pin a badge on Brian. And although he's been working and doesn't have his formal uniform on, we'll still get that badge over the existing cloth one that's on his chest, and we'll make it formal. But first of all, Brian, if you'd like to introduce who's here with your family.
My dad, my sister Sabrina, Nellie, Kristen, and my brother Kenny.
Great. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate it, and we're glad to have Brian as part of us, so thank you very much. Great. Thank you again.
Congrats, I hope we get some rest.
Did you see this breakdown of hours? Of fees? This is like $30,000. Down at $25 now. Have we looked at billing records?
This is a good idea.
And also there's words missing in this one sentence that starts,
Not have been here.
read that last sentence that starts right there.
No, it might be here. This is a good line.
There's either words missing or extra words.
Was I trying to look at it before? You kept saying, oh, now, okay, I got it now.
The sentence doesn't match. Although the fees the village charges for building and plan are always palatable. See?
If you put it in Adobe, you can.
He's got a couple questions. Sometimes it's the same, but there seems to be one catch it. Charge for billing and plan.
Yeah, I'd use it too.
Are all those followed?
Those are the, I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's right in the document, I think with the demarcation on the first page. So she just needs to write the document, that's all she needs to do.
But then Jim might have to re-sign it if the,
No, because this is the updated document, I can tell that it's an
Oh.
updated document, and we'll just make sure.
Okay.
So we'll just do this. You know, that's kind of really helpful for the 9-day stretch. Being out here.
Yes. Okay, next on our agenda is employee recognition ceremony. Julia?
Check, check. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. As village manager, one of my favorite things to do is celebrating the successes of our employees, and we're doing that tonight. We have a great group of very dedicated employees, and that's evident in everything that they do, whether it is responding to an emergency call, whether it is fixing a water main break out in the public right-of-way. whether it is talking to a member of village staff or a police officer at one of our celebratory events, such as National Night Out, or whether it's helping a resident with a problem at the front desk here at Village Hall. Behind the scenes or out in front, our employees are very dedicated to the work that they do. And the successes that the village enjoys in the work that we do and those accomplishments are certainly shared by everybody that works within the organization. Earlier tonight, before our board meeting, we had a cake and coffee event celebrating the milestone anniversaries of several of our employees. There are still pieces of cake for those of you that would like to enjoy in the celebration, and we have some of our honorees coming in right now who will soon receive awards. So what we do each year to celebrate the successes of our employees is we celebrate the milestone anniversaries of our employees in increments of 5 years. So tonight, we are celebrating the milestones of 20 of our employees from all departments and all roles for the village. And while a lot of the employees that will be mentioned tonight are not able to be here, some are here. And whether they're here or not, we're here to celebrate their work, their dedicated work for the village. So what I will go ahead and do is I'll call off the names of those folks that are celebrating anniversaries. And if you could come up and we will present you with a certificate of achievement of your milestone anniversary. And I believe the village president is going to help me distribute those certificates. So again, this year's a big year, 20 employees. Okay, so who do we have here? The first person, Dan Bink from the fire department. His start year was 2011. Celebrating 5 years. Okay, I will hold that for Dan. Okay, the second person is Dan Hachalski in the fire department. Also, 5-year anniversary. Congratulations to Dan. We have Matt Podlasek, a crossing guard for the village. He is celebrating 5 years. We have Doug Rackow in the police department celebrating his 5-year service anniversary, and Doug is here to accept his service award.
It's cute.
Next on the list, we have Emily Rodman, our assistant village manager. Next on the list, we have James Vicadell in our fire department, 5-year service anniversary. Next on our list, Brian Whitman in the fire department, celebrating 5 years. Moving along to the next tier, we have Matt Fellers in the police department, celebrating his 10-year service. Next on the list, we have TJ Janya celebrating Tim Janya is celebrating his 10 years of service to the village in the police department. The next on the list, Larry Leonard from the Public Works Department celebrating his 10 years worth of service. Thanks to Larry. We'll make sure that Larry gets his. Next on the list is Fran Morocco. Now Sergeant Morocco, celebrating 10 years with the village. Thank you for your service. Next on the list is Allison Rackow in the police department, celebrating her 10 years of service in the department. Next on the list, I told you it was a long list. We have 20 people on here. Chad Raup in the fire department, celebrating 10 years of service. So Chief will hold that for Chad. Next on the list is Steve Tullis in the fire department, celebrating 10 years of service. Congratulations. Hold that one as well. Next on the list, oh, we're hitting it, the next tier of 15 years. Celebrating 15 years of service is Chief Dean Magus in the fire department. Next on the list is Don Mokalecki in the fire department, celebrating 15 years of service. Congratulations. Next on the list, Theodore Zimmerman, or Ted Zimmerman, celebrating 15 years of service with our fire department, with our village. Congratulations. We'll save that for him. Next on the list, we have the next tier of service, celebrating 20 years with the village, John Sonica in the fire department. I remember you when you were just this big. Next on the list is the Deputy Chief of the Police Department, Phil Kubastal, who has been with us for 30 years. Congratulations. Hold that for him, Chief. And the last, but certainly not Sandy. So we've got the last service tier, so 35 years with the village. Congratulations to all the employees, and thanks for the opportunity to celebrate their service milestones with the village and with the Board of Trustees. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have public participation of agenda-related items only. Okay, and then if it's okay with the board, I'd like to take presidential privilege and move up public participation of non-agenda-related items, if that's okay with the board? Okay, is there anybody? Please state your name and address, Sherry.
Okay. Sherry Sauer. I'm the chamber president tonight, so I don't have an address, a P.O. box, but I live at 1525 Alima Terrace. So, that was a wonderful celebration, by the way. That was very nice. So tonight I'm here as the chamber president, and I just want to kind of address a couple things. Our chamber board met with the village president and the village manager and the staff on April 7th, and we discussed the collaboration between the LaGrange Park Chamber and the village. We talked in detail about our joint events and our financial state at that time. Well, currently our events consist of our annual dinner, the Bike Fest, which we couldn't have this year, the Haunted Trolley, Holiday in the Park, and a new addition that was added last year, which is the Legislative Breakfast. On April 7th, we asked for $3,000 to help fund our events that benefit both the Chamber and the village, as the events bring hundreds of people to the village and the local business districts. Since then, we've been working diligently on our membership and bringing in more revenue. We are now asking for $1,500 to go towards the Haunted Trolley event. That is the most expensive event that we do, and we are looking to get a fifth trolley this year because of the long waits, the amount of people that come. I mean, there's thousands of people that come to this thing. And the biggest complaint is waiting to get on the trolley. So, being that said that, we are bringing all these people to the village of Grange Park, and because the trolleys itself, they're almost $700 a piece. We do get a deal because of the amount of trolleys that we ask for, which brings it down to about $550, $600, but we do need extra revenue. We have had generous sponsors over the years to help with the trolleys, but we always can't count on that because of the businesses and where they are financially. So that's one thing. And then we are asking for an additional $300 just to help with the joint events like the Holiday in the Park and the Legislative Breakfast. Last year, we did not collect most of the revenue for the Legislative Breakfast. We had a new intern, so most of the people walked away not paying. And Plymouth Place was very kind to us. They did not charge us for the breakfast, but I don't think that that will continue going forward. So, in turn for the financial assistance, the LaGrange Park Chamber would make sure that the Village of LaGrange Park's logo would appear on all sponsorship materials, the trolley banners, the flyers that we send out, the Facebook posts, and the newsletters. And we understand that this is a large sum of money to consider, and appreciate the village working with us to keep our events growing and bringing more potential consumers to our village going forward. And we thank you again for your support, for everything you do for our chamber.
Thank you, Sherry. You know, that meeting was great, and we look for further collaboration between our two organizations. And you represent us when you guys go out there and all the businesses in our community. In a positive way, we want to represent each other, which is great. Julia, this will go on the work session agenda for June? Okay, and I want to applaud you and your board for all the hard work that you do, and I know how hard it is at times with volunteers, but you're doing a great job.
Thank you. And I did make a copy if you'd like it. Do you want me?
Thank you, Sherry. Now I get a free sink for moving you up, don't I?
Yes, thank you.
Plastic.
Yes, trustee Rocco.
Is now the time to address other non-agenda related items that are, okay. The reason being is because I was just going to wait. I wasn't sure if this would go under new business or non-agenda related items, but I just want to make sure that it's brought to the public attention that we're going to be considering opting out of Cook County's ordinance at the work session, is my understanding. Is that still underway? So I just feel like it's important to apprise our residents that at the work session, we are going to be considering discussing the opting out of the Cook County ordinance for the minimum wage, and that it's an opportunity for residents to voice their opinion on agenda-related items at the work session. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention to the village, to the residents, that is something that's going to be on our agenda. Thank you.
I think the board, I think the board will be discussing it at some point, and would it be on the next, in June? Okay, so I think at this point,
Well-
then, if that's gonna be the item on the agenda, then we're gonna have to get the information that we've received with, what other communities in the surrounding areas are doing. I know that the list has grown since you passed out the first list to the village board. And any questions that the village board may have prior to that meeting to pass on to Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Rocco. Okay, moving on, consent agenda, Amanda?
The items on this evening's consent agenda are as follows. Approval of minutes, Village Board meeting, April 25th, 2017. Village Board executive session, April 25th, 2017. Work session meeting, May 9th, 2017. B, action motion to authorize the president and chairperson of the Finance Committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks and payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the check registers. C, motion to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and June 27th, 2017, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its regular meeting to be held on June 27th, 2017.
Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Amanda. Moving on, village manager's report, Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President. One item I wanted to report on was the recent drive-down that the village participated in, and that would be the drive-down to Springfield for our Council of Government, the WCMC Legislative Conference, which takes place once a year in Springfield. And this is an opportunity for the Village of Grange Park to get together with other municipalities that are member to our Council of Government and go down to Springfield, meet with legislators, and make sure that they are aware of our concerns as it relates to pending legislation and other potential pending legislation, which usually in years past has historically involved revenues or state shared revenues with local governments. So a group of us, mostly elected officials, drove down to Springfield on May 16th, and we were all prepared with our legislative agenda and the various issues that we were going to lobby on. And it became very clear to us in meeting with our Council of Government that there was a lot of discussion and a lot of activity in trying to get a budget put together before the session ends in a couple of weeks. So there had been a lot of activity. A compromise budget or a budget that involves a compromise was in the works, and we were informed by our Council of Government that any compromise that would be agreeable by all of the legislators would likely involve a cut to the LGDF, which is also known as the Local Government Distributive Fund, and it is also known as our share of the state income tax. So we quickly had our marching orders, and we proceeded to meet with our legislators throughout the day, which I think by all accounts of those of us that attended the drive down was a very productive day. It was frustrating at times, and we certainly did our best to make sure that our legislators were aware of any potential impacts of the LGDF to our village and what that may mean. It was also very productive because it allowed for a lot of really good conversation with our legislators. So we learned a lot. We had a lot of discussions. We had a great dinner and drove back to LaGrange Park following the conference. Since that time, it appears that there is continues to be a lot of activity down in Springfield. And from here on out until the session ends, I just wanted to let the board know that staff will keep you apprised of any of that activity moving forward until the end of session. We will continue to communicate with our lobbyists Chris Ganschow to make sure that we have the best information that we can. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Julia. Moving on, Administration Committee, Trustee Laudner.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I have a few items to report on, and then one item for action, discussion and action. Regarding items to report on, first of all is regarding the Arbor Day celebration. The annual Arbor Day ceremony was held last Friday, May 19th at Park Junior High. This year, the village honored the Mighty Patriots at Park Junior High's Special Olympics team, who were nominated by their coach, Jerry Persica. Friends, family, and members of the public attended this ceremony. From what I understand, it was a little bit of a wet event, but went very well. A dawn redwood tree was planted in their honor. Second item is regarding the village offices schedule, and the village offices will be closed on Monday, May 29th, in observation of Memorial Day, and regular office hours will resume again on Tuesday, May 30th at 8:30 a.m. Village is to be reminded about the upcoming vehicle stickers that will begin to be on sale June 1st. Every resident must purchase a Grange Park vehicle sticker for each vehicle that they own and use in the village, including leased or company-owned vehicles registered elsewhere. New residents and residents who buy a new vehicle have 60 days to purchase a sticker. Vehicle stickers must be purchased by July 31st of each year. Vehicle stickers are $35 per year, or for seniors, $15 per year if the senior is 65 years of age or older prior to July 1st. And this applies to one vehicle per household only. For questions and specific information regarding the vehicle stickers, please call the Village Hall at 708-354-0225. Upcoming Monday, Memorial Day ceremony will be held on Sunday, May 28th. Our community park will honor all veterans and current military personnel at their third annual Memorial Weekend ceremony. The ceremony will begin at 1 p.m. at the Grange Park Veterans Memorial that is at the corner of Oak and Sherwood, across from the Jewel parking lot. The military ceremony, hosted by Robert E. Coulter Jr., American Legion, Post 1941, will include a national anthem by Park Junior High School Forte singers, a wreath presentation by Boy Scout Troop 111, a reading of the names of the bricks that have been installed in the past year, a 21-gun salute, and playing of echo taps by members of the Park Junior High School Band. And for more information on this event, please contact Jim Witt, the Veterans Memorial Community who is our Veterans Memorial Community Representative at 708-712-2692. And one item for discussion and action is regarding our professional services contract renewal through CW Consulting, our lobbyist. Since May of 2007, our village has engaged CW Consulting's through Chris Ganschow for lobbyist services to represent our village's interest in Springfield and at the federal level. The current contract includes specific deliverables and the scope of work at an annual cost of $28,405, which is payable in increments of once monthly at $23.67 per month. Contract expires on May 23rd of this year and should be renewed if the village board desired CW Consulting to continue to provide services to our village. Included with this memorandum is a new contract covering the period May 24th, 2017 through May 23rd of 2018, providing for a new one-year term of service with no changes to costs. The contract may be canceled by either party within 30 days with written notice. The contract includes the scope of consulting services with a list of identified goals for the contract term, and that information was provided as part of our packet. Our staff recommends that the village authorize execution of a contract with CW Consulting. Mr. Ganschow has actively represented our village in seeking, securing, and protecting state and federal funding for much-needed projects and services. This year specifically, Mr. Ganschow was particularly helpful in the coordination of a legislative breakfast with our local chamber and in creating an awareness of insufficient funding for the 911 services through the crafting of legislation sponsored by Representative Welch. Mr. Ganchow also represents the village in Springfield with regard to the preservation of municipal revenues, and particularly the LGDF, as was mentioned by our village manager, as well as other legislation that may impact our community. It's staff recommendation that the village interest would be better served by continuing the representation by CW Consulting. And with our packet included the proposed updated contract, the CW Consulting's annual report that was provided to the village board was previously distributed prior to this meeting and presented at the April board meeting, and also included as a newspaper article that highlighted the chamber breakfast. So it is the request that the village board authorize our village manager to execute a contract for professional services with CW Consulting covering the period. I think I did read that, pardon me. But the motion is to authorize the village manager to execute a one-year contract for services with CW Consulting with an annual cost not to exceed $28,405.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Motion and a second. Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. As the board is aware, and those attending the last meeting, we had a fair amount of spirited conversation about the activity, the value, the amount of expense related to this, and talked it through fairly serious. And since that time, we also have experienced, I'll say, one of the main deliverables of this contract, and that is the coordination of contact with our legislators in Springfield in the WCMC drive down last week. And there was also a lot of discussion, I think appropriately, regarding the importance of focusing on the grants that are available and keeping us up to date. And I think the contract this year further strengthens the importance of that area to make sure that we know what grants are available and to keep us apprised of activities related to hopefully receiving those grants. So with that continued focus on the importance of those efforts, I would be comfortable in supporting this for the next year, especially in consideration of, in spite of how difficult it is to wrench money out of our state governments. I think this is an investment of good effort and good funds for supporting this, so I would support it.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner. Any other comments from the board? Trustee Rocco?
Yes, I echo what Trustee Lautner said. I also just would like to point out that I think it should be pointed out that our village president and village manager work hard to make sure that Mr. Ganchow gives all that we ask of him and to get the best value for our dollar. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco. Any other comments? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Message?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner.
And that is the last item on the administration area this evening.
Okay, next, Building and Zoning, Trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report the building department activities for April of 2017. There were 92 building permits issued in April compared to 114 last April. Permits issued year-to-date remain slightly less as compared to this point last year. We are now at 235 permits issued so far. Last year at this time, 243 were issued. The estimated construction costs for the month and permit fees collected for the month were both slightly down from last April. 148 inspections were conducted in April compared to 166 in April 2016. 9 were not approved. Year-to-date, 489 inspections have been conducted. During the month, the building department fielded resident concerns regarding noise being generated by cooling compressors at Cork Keg and Spirits. The building inspector has worked with the business owner and general contractor who have been accommodating to address this matter. Having vibration padding installed under the units and completing a fence enclosure around the units was the resolution. The situation is being monitored by the village. During the month, preliminary discussions took place with St. Louis de Marillac in regards to reconstruction of their parking lots. This project will most likely take place later this year. Work continued at the Congregation of St. Joseph. Much of the work focused on site redevelopment near the chapel, and much of the interior renovations to the I building were completed. And that concludes my report for April.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco.
You meant something.
Yes.
And I apologize, in the absence of Trustee Casera, I've asked Trustee Rocco to give the report. So you can take a couple minutes, Trustee Rocco.
I'm good for
Sorry.
the no problem. Engineering and Capital Projects report, correct? For April of 2017. Thank you, Ms. President. On April 18th, 2017, sealed bids for the cracked filling program were received by the village and publicly opened. During the April 25th Village Board meeting, a contract was awarded to the low responsible bidder, Dendler and Sons, to perform this work. Documents are currently being circulated for signature, with work expected to be completed by the end of June. Also on April 18th, 2017, sealed bids were received for the 2017 sewer lining program and publicly opened. The village board, at their April 25th meeting, awarded a contract to the low responsible bidder, Visa Sewer of Illinois. The Illinois Department of Transportation informed us that due to additional environmental clearances that are being required, the Harding Avenue improvements, Brainerd Avenue to Kenman Avenue, will not be in their June project letting schedule. Due to this change, we will need to determine an optimum timeline for moving this work forward. This decision will need to consider how to minimize disruption and inconvenience to residents during the construction period. Executed contracts, bond, and insurance documents for the village's 2017 paving programs, north and west sections, are expected to be returned by the end of this month. Work on the west section, Davis Concrete, will begin early May. Construction on the north section of K5 construction is anticipated to start at the end of May. Both projects have a completion date of September 30th. Suburban General Construction Company has completed all but 3 of the repairs identified in the 2017 sewer repair project. 2 of the remaining repairs are on Grange Road and need to be coordinated with IDOT. The third one is on Park Avenue, and Nicor is going to be relocating a gas service to facilitate access. All repairs are expected to be completed by May 12th, 2017. And that completes my report, and there are no action items. Thank you, Mr. President.
And again, thank you, Trustee Rocco. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, Police Department report for April 2017. Total crimes reported are slightly lower from last year, with 66 incidents reported compared to 84 through the same time frame last year. Traffic enforcement is slightly lower, with 2,072 total citations through April of 2017 compared to 2,197 from April of last year. Note, staff transitions from retirement, new staff development, training, maternity leave, et cetera, have affected the overall totals in this area. Please be aware that this is an overall increase at this time of year compared to average of 1,800 from previous years. A job well done by all patrol staff involved in keeping the roadways safe. Total police activity is at 2,073 total incidents through April compared to 2,218 last year. Foot patrol and the walk and talk program began May 1st and will continue until October 1st, weather permitting. All patrol staff from chief through the patrol officers will be taking part on a daily basis in this positive community policing effort. A friendly reminder about securing one's personal property at all times. Please lock your vehicles and residences, especially during the overnight hours. In addition, please fill out a vacation request card if you are leaving for an extended period of time. The police department completes an extra patrol for the safety of your area. Upon returning, you must come back to the PD to sign the card that shows that the extra watch is complete. This service can be done Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. at the police department front desk area. The next coffee with the chief and staff will be held on Thursday, June 22nd from 7 to 8 p.m. at Plymouth Place, 315 North LaGrange Road. Various up-to-date topics will be covered with refreshments provided. And that concludes the police activities for April. On to fire department activities. EMS responses for this month was 129. There have been 569 year-to-date compared to 547 year-to-date in 2016. Fire rescue incidents this month were 45. There have been 157 year-to-date compared to 134 last year. Final specifications were reviewed for our new ambulance with the scheduled construction completion date scheduled for July. fire station for resurfacing projects were completed, which included replacing the concrete threshold and foundation at the rear overhead apparatus doors of fire station number 1. Plan reviews were completed for a new fire alarm to be installed at 19 East 31st Street, the new location for Crown Trophy, and for modifications to the fire alarm system at 1101 Beach at Catnap. We attended an event at Barnesdale Road School where kindergarten students interviewed community helpers. Annual flow testing was completed of all self-contained breathing apparatus to ensure proper operation. And on April 7th at 11:38, we did respond to an activated fire alarm at Park Junior High. Upon arrival, found a light fixture had been on fire in the stairwell and was extinguished by staff using a fire extinguisher. Firefighters assisted with accounting for students and with removing smoke. And that completes the fire department activities, and there are no action items.
Thank you, trustee Messick. Public Works Committee, trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following is the monthly report for April. Public Works Operations, the street sweeper spent 46 hours cleaning 117 miles of village streets and picked up 18 yards of debris. Tree maintenance, trimming, and inspections were performed during 48 regular hours. 126 and a half regular hours were spent on the maintenance of public works equipment and vehicles. 56 and a half hours were spent filling potholes with approximately 8 tons of universal patching mix used. 217 day shift hours were spent on buildings and ground maintenance around the Public Works facility, Village Hall, and along 31st Street. Work orders were completed with crews removing roadkill, making sign repairs, and picking up several piles of brush from a windstorm. Various maintenance was performed on village cars, vehicles, trucks, water department operation, over 365 and a half day shift hours and 53 and a quarter overtime man hours during the month of April were spent on maintenance and repairs of sewer and mains. 27 million gallons of water were purchased from the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. 1,269 water meters were read in Section 1. 52 monthly accounts and 18 final reads were taken. Various inspections, appointments, and service calls were performed. 14 water and sewer inspections, 6 meter appointments, and 25 service calls were performed. 15 water bacterial samples were taken, all samples passed. 203 utility locations were identified prior to excavation. 1 service line was repaired, 6 valve boxes were repaired, 5 water shutoffs were performed, 1 hydrant modification kit was installed. Mr. President, I have 1 action item. 2, actually. Purchase of the 2018 Mack dump truck. Purpose, the authorization to purchase a 2018 Mack dump truck from CIT Trucks using pricing from the State of Illinois Joint Purchasing Program. The current dump truck, Unit 608, was purchased in 1996 and is currently 21 years old. Due to age, reliability, and cost to maintain, why it's up for replacement. $160,000 is scheduled in the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget for a replacement dump truck. CIT Trucks participates in the State of Illinois Joint Purchasing Program. They have a chassis in production at this time. The truck is scheduled for a build-out at Bunnell Industries in August 2017. This truck will primarily be used for water operations, but it will also be outfitted with a front mount plow and tailgate salt spreader. CIT Trucks is extending the state purchasing pricing for this unit. The total cost for chassis and build-out is $159,823. This truck is being recommended as it is sized appropriately for our operations and can be used for both main brake repairs and plowing, and is already scheduled for production, allowing delivery before the 2017-2018 snow season. It is a simpler design than our current plows and comes at a better price than meeting the specification for the plows which were purchased in 2005 and 2006. Staff recommends the purchase of the dump truck from CIT Trucks. Therefore, Mr. President, I make a motion authorizing staff to purchase a 2018 Mack dump truck from CIT Trucks in the amount of $159,823.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. As I stated, the vehicle is 21 years old. We've had our use out of 608. It'd be nice to have a vehicle that we can depend on. It's slightly under what's budgeted in the fiscal year 17-18 budget before this.
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Any other comments from any board members?
Thank you.
Trustee Laudner?
Couldn't figure out how to spend $77 more. Just a clarification, is this a front snow removal device? Yeah, I assume so with a dump truck, but, yeah, okay.
You could get it undermounted if you wanted it to, they would do it, but, for purposes of the truck, our needs and the price, we'll stick with a front mount plow and a tailgate spreader, and we should do just fine.
That's more than $71.
Yeah, $177.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And what will you do with the old one?
So we'll put it off auction.
Okay.
Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Yeah, 177.
Mr. President, next I have a action, payment of Sheridan Plumbing and Sewer. Purpose of this is to approve payment of $10,012.05 to Sheridan Plumbing and Sewer for sewer cleaning and televising services. In late April 2017, a sewer blockage was discovered on the 400 block of Homestead. Due to heavy roots and grease, it took 2 days to clean and televise the line. As a result, the total cost for the cleaning, televising, and debris disposal exceeded the village manager's authority for payment by $12.05. In the fiscal year 2016-17 budget, there is $50,000 budgeted in the sewer fund, numbered 05-44-3-326, for sewer cleaning and televising. As of May 12, 2017, $81,365.39 has been spent. These overages are offset by other capital projects being under budget. Staff recommends approval of this payment. Therefore, Mr. President, I make a motion to approve authorizing the payment of $10,012.05 to Sheridan Plumbing and Sewer.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Motion and a second. Trustee Sheehan?
Mr. President, this work has already been completed. It was, I would consider an emergency. There was some disposal fees at the liquid dump that had to be taken care of, so this had to be done.
Any other comments from the board? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes,
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
and that completes my report.
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Finance Committee, trustee Rocco.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a report completing our fiscal year 2016. While the fiscal year ended April 30th, this is not the final report for fiscal year 2017. For the next 2 months, we will continue to process any outstanding payables and receivables which were due prior to May 1st. These items will be reflected in the village's annual audit report, which will be issued later this year and presented to the village board. The highlights of general fund ends in April with revenues exceeding expenditures by about $650,000. Fiscal year to date, general fund revenue is at 102% of the annual budget and $84,000 less than last year. Departmental expenditures were at 91% of the budget as of April 30th. As noted earlier, we're still processing payables for the fiscal year 2017. Property tax receipts are 1.5% higher than last year and at 102% of budget. Other local taxes are flat overall compared to last year. Telecommunication taxes continue to decline and are about 11% lower than last year. Increased natural gas and electricity tax receipts offset the drop. Sales tax revenue is down about 1% from the prior year. Shop local. License fees are down about $8,700 due in part to local vehicle sticker sales. Permit revenue from building activity was especially strong this year and is about 11% higher than last year and at 159% of budget. Intergovernmental revenue is about $137,000, or 7.5% lower than last year due to 11% drop in income tax revenue. While the Illinois Department of Revenue continues to research why income tax revenue has declined, it appears that a primary cause is corporate tax law changes in recent years and how businesses are utilizing those changes to minimize their taxes. Charges for services are about $41,000 lower than last year, primarily due to a decline in ambulance fee collections. Fine revenue is about 3% lower than the prior year, but 13% above budget. Miscellaneous revenue is lower than the prior year because the village received a one-time payment of $37,000 for past due payment in lieu of taxes last year, but is 9% above budget due to village anniversary donations. Transfers are greater than last year due to the new transfer from the motor fuel tax fund to the general fund to support street maintenance operations. The LTACC capital expenditures are at 50% of budget. However, there are still costs to be accrued into this line item. The final amount is now projected to finish below budget. The fiscal year 17 budget had expected that 911 surcharge fees would begin going directly into LTAC in the fiscal year 2017. Due to the timing of when LTAC went live, the village continued to receive 911 surcharge fees through March and was able to use those funds to cover about $100,000 of capital cost. That concludes my report, and there is one action item, Mr. President. And dealing with water and sewer rates. This is to approve the water and sewer rates for our current fiscal year. The Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission has notified the village that the cost of water will increase 4.25% from $4.94 per 1,000 gallons to $5.15 per 1,000 gallons effective June 1st of this year. The BNRWC rate increase includes a 1.83% increase in the cost the City of Chicago charges the Commission for water. The Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission rate is also a result of an increased operating cost and debt service for the water main replacement. Baxter and Woodman is currently performing a water and sewer rate study for the village. The purpose of the study is to review the long-term operation and infrastructure requirements of the village's water and sewer systems and provide rate options that will provide the necessary funding. Baxter and Woodman will complete the study this month and present the findings to the village board at the June work session. Staff recommends that the village implement a 5% rate increase for the water and sewer service, which were included in the current village budget. The village board may review this rate study and discuss long-term rate options that could be implemented starting within the next fiscal year budget. The proposed 5% increases would be effective June 1st, which coincides with the rate increase by the Water Commission. The village's water rate would increase from $7.34 to $7.71 per 100 cubic feet, and the sewer rate would increase from $2.21 to $2.32 per 100 cubic feet. The rate increases will provide sufficient funding for the current fiscal year, although fund balances will decrease due to planned capital projects, as we were just discussing in our prior motion. The quarterly combined water and sewer bill for the median residential usage of 1,600 cubic feet will increase $7.68 from $152.80 to $160.48. The minimum quarterly water and sewer bill based on 600 cubic feet will increase from $2.88 from $57.30 to $60.18. So I move to approve an ordinance amending the Village of LaGrange Park Municipal Code establishing water and sewer rates.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, trustee Rocco?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, as we know that they're increasing the rate of 4.25%. We're asking for a 5% increase, but we already know that, as we just in the prior motion from the Public Works, dealing with sewer lining work, we have the study that's coming out from Baxter and Woodman. We anticipate that there's going to be work that's going to be needed, and so, if anything, it may, we know that we'll be needing that 5% increase, so it makes sense to round it off and do a 5% increase.
Thank you, trustee Rocco. Any other comments? Seeing none, Amanda, will you call the roll?
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And that concludes my report and all action items. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Rocco. Commercial Revitalization Committee, trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. Staff has prepared an application packet for individuals or businesses interested in applying for tax increment financing, TIF, or Business Development District, BDD dollars. The packet is currently under review by the village's special TIF council, and staff anticipates making it available to the public in June. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Zora. Other reports, village clerk,
I have nothing to report, Mr. President.
our village treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. President. In your packet tonight, you'll see that there's a preliminary report for the police pension fund. And I was just going to go over the details on page 2-2, which gives us a summary of what occurred during the last fiscal year. If you're looking at that statement of net changes in net position, you'll see that the additions, there was about $864,000 in contributions from the village. This was through the property taxes. From the police themselves, the members contributed about $179,000. A little further down, you'll see a summary of the investment income. The net investment income was about $1.28 million. On the other side of the equation, the fund paid out about $1.376 million for a net change to the positive of $947,848. This was about a 7.2% increase in the fund's position.
It's good. We're moving in the right direction.
That's my report. If there's any questions, I can.
Any questions from the board?
Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
It's nice to see we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Village engineer? No report, Mr. President. Our village attorney?
No report, Mr. President.
Committee and collectors report, a motion to approve.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I have a couple items I want to inform the board on. Trustee Lauder, I mentioned the Park Mighty Patriots. And the selection committee, what a great selection this was. And if anybody could have been there to see, and it was in the Park Auditorium, and they had support of their entire, well, not their entire, but most of their school students that were there to support this team. And it was just a great feeling all the way around. So good job, and it was nice to see the smiles on their faces, their team, when the student body supported their efforts. So that was really enlightening to see. Trustee Rocco and I attend the Citizens Police Academy, and I want to pay special recognition to Officer Dempsey, who has done a remarkable job with this, with the inaugural sessions. There's about 20 residents that are involved, and it's very informative. He keeps it moving well. We've had Chief Rampa come and speak. Chief Magus came with his crew last Thursday and spoke and went over the new Trustee Rocco went over the new chief stretcher and all the items that are in there. And it's just, if the residents would see this and see what it costs to put one of these together, but all the instruments and gadgets that are on it, it's just remarkable. The technology has increased so much with these things, it's remarkable.
And to tag team that, what was also remarkable is here we have firefighters, unpaid firefighters, and they were expressing their gratitude to us for getting the equipment that they need so they can serve our residents in time of need. And just to see that, they're doing their job and yet they're thanking us for supplying them with equipment that they should have. So just so the residents know that money that we put towards the fire department, it is greatly appreciated by our firefighters, and we should greatly appreciate their service. Thank you.
Yes, and there's another session in the fall, I believe, Chief. And I know there's a limited number of spots, but I encourage anyone that has the time to meet on consecutive Thursday nights for 4 weeks. I, along with Trustee Rocco, I'm sure recommend participating.
And to tag team that.
Go ahead.
And thank you, Chief Rampa, for putting this together, because this police academy, the Citizens Academy, I think is absolutely fantastic. It's very informative. It is a small group of residents, and I think it's great that you're doing this. I think that also what's great is that these residents, they can go out and then also tell other residents what's going on in our community, and I think that by word of mouth, just what our community, what our police department's doing, it's wonderful. Thank you.
And we get a badge at the end that we can go out and make arrests. No, I'm only kidding, Chief. Moving on, the Memorial Day ceremony again was mentioned. If anyone has not attended this is a great event. We get a huge crowd out because a lot of the veterans and their families come out, and those that have bricks in their honor and name. Jim Zwitt works with the Park District, and he does a tremendous job in putting this together, and it's quite a sobering effect on you because you see all these veterans there, and with the national anthem and the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Park School, it really brings a good feel home. I have one proclamation. Okay, National Emergency Medical Services Week, May 21st to the 27th, 2017. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, whereas the access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, whereas the Village of LaGrange Park provides a community-based EMS system comprised of well-equipped, well-prepared, and dedicated paramedics, emergency medical technicians, firefighters, and police officers, whereas the Village of LaGrange Park EMS are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whereas the Village of LaGrange Park EMS responded to nearly 1,700 calls for assistance during the last calendar year, and whereas this year's theme is part of a larger campaign entitled EMS Strong, Always in Service, which conveys an incredibly powerful message about the access to EMS and the dedication of the EMS personnel who are always there ready to serve. Therefore, be it proclaimed that May 21st to the 27th is recognized as National Emergency Medical Services Week. And thank you, Kathy. Any new business? Motion to move into executive session?
Make a motion to move into executive session for the purpose to discuss the following: the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, 5 ILCS 120/2C1, not to return to open session until our next regularly scheduled meeting on June 13th.
I have a motion.
Second.
Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Menser?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zura?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We'll move into executive session.